Hi everyone. So today I wanted to talk about something that I get asked a lot. And like a lot of the times when I'm asked this question, I never really feel like giving a full explanation to it because I don't want to start like arguments and stuff because people tend to get pretty opinionated about this. But um, I get asked a lot why I'm a vegetarian, why I don't eat meat, and all that stuff. Because it's pretty I guess to a lot of people it's very abnormal. Um, to give a bit of a backstory to it, I stopped eating meat probably about 3 years ago on Easter, and this is 2014, so I guess it would have been 2011 or so. Um, basically, I was still in high school at the time. Basically, I saw a video, and it just something clicked, and I couldn't do it anymore. Um, but to give a real explanation of why I don't eat meat, I have to kind of start to sound a bit preachy. But basically, I don't eat meat because I think it's wrong. Um, I don't not eat meat because I don't enjoy the taste. I always like the taste of specific meats. I was never a big red meat eater. I know a lot of people aren't though. Um, I loved chicken. I could eat it every night for dinner. I still love the taste because I remember what it tastes like and I remember why I liked it so much. I love bacon. I didn't like to eat it a lot because it made me break out in acne because I was a teenager at the time. But yeah, I enjoyed the taste of meat. It was good. I liked it. But when I finally stopped to really acknowledge what was happening to get that food on my plate, that's when I finally couldn't do it anymore. Growing up, I had always thought that it would be difficult to prepare meals for myself because the idea of touching raw meat gave me the heebie-jeebies. Because, I mean, it was like touching a corpse to me. I had no problem eating it once it was cooked because it looked different and smelled good. But I couldn't touch it. And I still have a hard time touching raw meat. I still do everything I can not to. Thankfully, that doesn't really come up very often because I work at a bakery. But even now, like touching like cooked meat and stuff, I would have a hard time doing. Um, So people ask me if I make exceptions for special occasions and stuff. I don't. I'm a real vegetarian. I'm not someone who says they're a vegetarian but also eats meat on special occasions or cheats every once in a while. No, I'm a real vegetarian. I don't eat fish. I don't eat chicken. I don't eat cute things with faces. I don't eat ugly things with faces. I don't eat anything with a face. I don't eat things that don't have faces if they're still sentient. Um, and it really concerns me that it's so frowned upon for me to express my opinions and my beliefs about eating meat and all that stuff. Why people take it so personally, get so defensive. I guess because I was in that position before, I can understand why some people might do it. I'm not saying that this is the reason why everyone gets offended or takes it personally when you talk about the fact that you don't eat meat. But when I didn't eat meat, I would get a bit defensive about it because or when I ate meat rather, I'd get defensive about it because I was worried, I guess, that I'd have to be confronted with being part of the problem because I didn't want to believe that I was doing anything wrong. I mean, I was just buying the meat that was already there. It was already on the shelves. I couldn't bring the animal back to life if I didn't eat it. I mean, it was there, the damage was done. I'm only one person, too, so it's not like me not eating meat is going to make a huge difference. It's not going to put any companies out of business. It's probably not even going to save that many lives. Um, and those are all still things that I believe today as well. I really don't think that as an individual I can make any difference. I don't believe that companies suffer because I don't eat chicken nuggets. As unfortunate for me as it is, that's the reality that I have to face. But I'm living in the reality of the situation and not telling myself these lies, telling myself that my decisions don't matter because I mean they won't make a grand impact, but they do matter. It's important to treat every animal's life as though it's worth as much as your own. I know that can sound very ridiculous to a lot of people because they were never brought up to think that way. I wasn't brought up to think that way. It took me a long time to be able to acknowledge that people are animals too, and I mean, in a universal scale, we're nothing more than the animals around us. A lot of people don't like to believe that they're animals. People like to believe that humans are something different than animals. Animals are beneath us, and humans are on top, and we're something completely different. We used to be animals, and then we evolved past that. We're no longer animals, we're something greater. But we're not. We're still animals. We still communicate with each other. We still live in a specific style, groups. Animals communicate with each other. Animals live in groups. Animals reproduce sexually. Animals have instincts. Humans have instincts. I mean, as much as we don't want to believe we have instincts, we do. Humans have sex to procreate, and that is a huge that's a huge sign of instinct, that humans have sex to procreate. Not only that, they have sex recreationally. Um, that in itself is a huge testament to how we really aren't all that different from the animals around us. Um, we might not have feathers, we might not have scales, we have soft, fleshy skin. We don't really look like the animals around us because they aren't the same species as us. Um, I mean, even monkeys, I won't say that we are monkeys because we're not. We have a common ancestor, but we're not monkeys. Um, but what I'm trying to say is that humans are animals too. And when I think about it like that, I think, what if I was born a different animal? Again, sounds silly to people, but what if? What if I actually was born conscious as a different animal? What if I was born as a cow? Or a stray dog in Russia? I mean, I'd be screwed. I wouldn't have any idea what was going to happen to me, but then something horrible would happen to me. I mean, for those of you who don't know, the Olympics in Russia, the place that they hold the Olympics this year in Sochi, um, that didn't just pop up without any sort of reprimand to the things in the area. I mean, the area is a fairly poor area to begin with because, let's face it, it's Russia. Um, so there wasn't really a lot of, how do I put this? There wasn't a lot of dedicated space to only human occupants. Um, there were stray dogs everywhere. Um, One of the commissioners or something, some government official from Russia, actually came out and said that it's time we start seeing these dogs as what they are, biological trash. Um, and they kill the dogs using a variety of methods, one of the most common ones being poison darts. They poison stray dogs to kill them so that they won't embarrass Russia during the Olympics by being there. But whose fault is it that the dogs were there to begin with? I mean, it just makes me really sad when I think about all these animals that suffer for human pride or human indulgence. And I mean, good people eat meat and support this kind of stuff. Good people who make great parents and are loving brothers and sisters and great friends. People who sincerely care about other people will still eat meat because they were raised to believe that it's okay. As long as you don't think about it, it's fine. As long as you don't think about the animals before they die, it's fine. And again, a lot of you are going to see this and think it's silly that someone gets so emotional about this. They're just animals. But we're just animals too. Animals do have thoughts and feelings. I mean, you can see that in the pets we own. And there are people who I've talked to who actually sincerely believe that only domestic animals have thoughts and feelings and emotions. And that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I know cows are technically domesticated animals, but people eat them all the time and they're fine with it, so I'll use it as an example. If you take a cow out of the barn or whatever that it's in, and away from the same field of half-eaten grass and all that stuff, take it to a place where there's lots of open space and lots of things that cows like food and stuff like that. Take a cow to a place like that, and it lights up. Suddenly its behavior completely changes. It doesn't stand in one spot, robotic and motionless. It runs around, it jumps, it plays, it takes delight in its surroundings. And that's just one example of something that we kill and eat all the time. And people who abuse animals like dogs and cats, if the general public finds out about them, there's an uproar over one dog. But thousands upon thousands of other animals, beautiful, brilliant animals, are killed all the time and no one bats an eye. Instead, they eat them and they pay for it. They directly support horrible atrocities. And they're okay with it. They're good people, great parents, great friends, great siblings, great cousins, loving grandparents who would do anything for the people that they love. We'll sit there and eat meat. We'll go to the grocery store and we'll not think twice before picking up those 2 sirloin steaks and bringing them home. People who grow up with dogs and love them and they mean the world to them will stand there and say to people like me, "Oh, I love bacon. I love bacon so much. Bacon's so great." As though it's some sort of offense against me. I mean, yeah, it kind of upsets me that you care that little about like my feelings, as to say that, but really, my feelings don't matter in this. It's not about me. You're not hurting me by eating meat. Even if you see my face now and how upset it makes me, you as an individual eating meat doesn't hurt me. It hurts innocent creatures who've done a whole lot less bad than I have in my life. Animals that only want one thing, and that's to live. And we deny them even that. Canada Goose jackets are a great example of something that isn't meat that really upsets me too. I try not to think about it when I see them because they're everywhere. Everyone wants them and everyone pays so much for them. And I remember growing up, people would always say fur is murder and that they would never wear fur, and then I see so many people wearing these jackets stuffed with feathers of geese. Canada's like national fucking bird. I mean, yes, geese are horrible, mean little things, but they're only mean when people get too close to them and they don't understand human body language and we don't understand their body language. It's not like geese exist to cause pain. They're not creatures created of malice and evil. They're just fucking birds. And yes, their cognitive abilities are limited compared to ours, there's no denying that. But that doesn't mean that they don't feel pain. It doesn't mean that they don't feel some form of fear. Animals aren't robots. The thing, though, that bothers me more than the geese thing, which really they're equal problems, so I don't know why it bothers me more, but I guess it's because I'm a person and I like cute things and stuff. But the thing that bothers me more about those jackets than the feathers inside of them is the fur on the hood. That fur is real fur, and it comes from coyotes that they trap and kill using poison traps. It's just, as far as I'm aware, it's a basic clamping trap, slathered with poison, and the dog's leg gets caught in it, and it gets infected with the poison, and the trappers don't check the traps super often, so no one's there to put it out of its misery once it's already in pain. It suffers for hours. Sometimes they'll chew off their own legs to try to escape. But the damage is done. They're already poisoned. They're gonna die. And so they die, cold and alone. Pretty much no different than our dogs at home. And people will justify this, saying that, well, if we didn't do it, then coyotes would get out of hand, the numbers would get too large, and there'd be more problems. But a higher population of coyotes doesn't mean that humans are going to suffer. In fact, the only thing that would suffer would be the thing that's below coyotes on the food chain, which is oftentimes deer. Things that people who live in the country and drive home late at night fear hitting. Reasons why we hunt deer are so that we won't hit them with our cars and hurt ourselves. And I mean, I would say that that's probably a risk involved in driving and living out in the country, and that we shouldn't be trying to kill things to make our lives slightly less dangerous by a marginal percent. Um, but what I'm saying is, people will justify that we make these coats by saying that we need to kill the coyotes because if we don't, something terrible is going to happen. Like coyote populations are going to skyrocket, and then what? Then, as far as anything we know, as far as food chains and everything is concerned, the predators of coyotes will just have more food. Or realistically, in a lot of areas, coyotes are one of the top predators. So another way to look at it is the number of coyotes spikes, and then there's not enough food for all of them. So it goes down. The problem solves itself. People don't need to make jackets out of wild coyotes. We're not doing any great service to the world in doing so. We're not saving any species. We're not doing anything other than meddling in things that really aren't any of our business. And I can't stand hunters. And I know a lot of you hunt. And that's cool. Nothing I can say will change that. Because you grew up thinking it's okay, so you're going to continue saying it's okay and that I'm crazy. And you're going to call me names like a tree hugger, or maybe you're going to say that I should go fuck a coyote and marry it. I don't know. But there's no need. It's unnecessary at this point. We don't need to hunt animals for their fur anymore. This isn't the 18th century where if we didn't do that we could die. We have synthetic fibers. We have organic fibers that aren't made of animals, that are just as warm, look just as nice, and they don't hurt things to make. Or at least it hurts a lot less. You aren't paying for an animal's life to end torment and misery and suffering and fear in a slow, painful poison death. If you buy things that are synthetic or not made of animal, you're not contributing to that. But if you are, then it might as well be you doing it to the animal yourself, because it's happening and you're a cause. And this is going to be hard to post because there are people who I know, who I hold dear, who believe very different things from me on this subject. And it makes me really sad because they're really good people. And it makes me sad to know that people who are very, very close to me won't change because of this. They'll think I'm overreacting. They'll think I need better things to worry about. That I know specific people who will say something to the effect of, there's enough to worry about regarding other humans. You shouldn't waste your time worrying about animals. We should take care of our own first. And I understand why people would say this. I understand why people would think this way. But I'll tell you right now, it's wrong. It is dead wrong. The lives of humans aren't worth more than the lives of animals. Prospectively, to us, they are, because we're humans. And I guess part of being a vegetarian is being selfish. Because if I was born as one of these animals that we eat, I would want someone standing up for me. I wouldn't want to die in a slaughterhouse. I wouldn't want to die near my home, cold, alone, and dying of poison while my leg is clamped brutally by steel teeth, put down by someone with no real reason to do it to me. And I didn't do anything to them. I wouldn't want to be in that position if I was an animal. So how could I possibly justify putting them in that position? I don't need a fur coat. I don't need fur on my hood. I don't need to wear the latest fashion. Not if it means hurting other animals, and I just don't understand. And it scares me that I used to understand. But I'm really hoping that because of this video, at least one person who sees it who is on the fence about all this will, for lack of better terms, join my side. Maybe someone who cares about this will see it, or cares about me will see this, and my reaction will cause them to think and cause them to reevaluate what's really important. So that's why I'm a vegetarian. Because as much as I didn't know it before, I love animals. I never called myself an animal lover before, but I do. Right. Thanks for listening.